Alright. Let's have a look inside a primus. A Schlage primus. So this is an ABUS 8345 padlock, but it has been adapted for a primus, for a Schlage primus kick cylinder. As you can see, we have our adapter to go over the kick cylinder, and we have our tailpiece too, the specialized tailpiece to open these. So I'm going to put my padlock off to the side, my ABUS 83. Now, these are always a little bit tricky, but let's do this. Okay. And put my tailpiece there. Okay. Don't lose these springs. They're so easy to lose. Okay. Now I have my core. Let's put our key in. Okay. You probably notice that it does say primus on the front, but it looks pretty, it looks like a normal lock, really, and then you have, of course, you have your side bit milling here, is what Schlage calls it on the primus system here. And this is a fully loaded, and this has all 5 sliders in the side too. So, let's show you what's inside a primus. So, when disassembling these, you have to be aware of what you are doing. You have to be extremely aware of what you're doing. Because this can be, you can lose parts so easily if you are not aware. So, this has a sidebar. So we want to, I'm not even going to worry about my key pins. I'm worried about that sidebar because it's spring loaded. So that sidebar will pop out if you, so I'm going to put my finger on the sidebar. I have my finger on the sidebar, and then now I can slowly release it, and I'm safe. And then I got to take those pins out, those springs out, because otherwise I will lose those. I almost lost one there, but there it still is. The lock will not function without these. So, just telling you, the lock will not function, and they're very expensive springs. So now, I do have, these are all normal pins here. And in a stock primus, you're actually going to have no security pins. There are no security pins in a stock primus. But, however, this was pinned by me, so it does have security pins. Now, this is also master keyed, so I think that was the only master pin, though, right there, that 4. So, yeah, this is a master keyed system, though, so. But with the security pins and the sidebar, it doesn't really make it all that easier to pick. Now, the key will hold in all of the sliders as long as you keep it in there. So, yeah, that's something to keep in mind, so that because you don't have to worry about them. Now, I will take one slider out. I'm not going to take any of the other ones out because they're really easy to lose. Along with, I will show you the spring, one of the most expensive and easy to lose springs in locks. So, let me lock that back down. This is one of our sliders, and you're not going to be able to see that with my fat fingers there. Let's grab it here. So, this is our gate. This is very similar to the Acid Twin system, except the Acid Twin has false gates. These don't have false gates, but it's still very challenging to pick. And then we have this guy at the front here, which interacts with the key. And all of these are going to have the gate at a different angle. And so these sliders can move up and down and side to side. So all the gates are going to be at different angles and different heights. That's just how it goes. So I'm going to pop this slider back in here so that I don't lose it. Oh, yeah, and then let me show you this super easy to lose spring. Almost just lost the slider there, and there's our spring. So, this is one of the most expensive springs in locks, in terms of all locks. Oh, where did it go? There it is. Okay, here's our spring. This is super tiny. This is a super tiny spring. The sidebar springs are steel, so they can be picked up by a magnet if you lose them. These are brass, however, and you will not be able to pick it up with a magnet. But you can see how tiny this is. I don't have a spring to show you, a full-size one. Oh, okay. But this is a very, very tiny spring. These cost about 50 cents a piece, these springs, and they're that tiny, so don't lose them. And how I do a lot of my primus pinning is it's actually a lot of primus locks that I've taken apart, and I just kind of use the parts. That's the cheap way. Buy primus in bulk. Buy them in bulk without the keys. Open them up. You know, I'll take the top off. Slide them open. I get a lot of... all of them that I usually use are the SFIC cores. So I will often just use the SFI... I would just take the top off the SFIC cores and just take them apart that way. Almost lost the sidebar spring there, but there it is. Helps to have a clean desk. I can tell you that. Messy desk and you will never find anything. So. Okay. And that should be our sidebar. And the sidebar should go down. There it goes. Okay. Let's put the key. That's, I'm doing this backwards. The wrong order. Okay. So, put our key pins in. Like I said, you don't want to worry about the key pins. Don't worry about them. If they get out of there, don't worry about it, because those are your least concern of parts to replace. The sidebar, the sidebar springs, the slider springs. Those are the hardest things to replace if you lose them, because they're very expensive to replace. Okay. And it's not like you could take any old spring like you normally would with like a regular lock. You could just take another spring from a completely different brand, completely different, you know, whatever, and it'll still work. Standard size spring will work in everything, but not with this. No, sir. I've tried to take Medico sidebar springs. They don't work in here either. That might be a fun video. Maybe I'll take apart a Medico at some point. Although I don't know if I have any at the moment. Okay. Now, I have my sidebar slotted in now. And I'm just going to shove it in. These are different. You can tell that this is a primus, because when I turn it, there's a positive detent there. That's the sidebar interlocking, and you pushing the sidebar out of the way when you do that. I wish that they made these with a reverse sidebar, which is a square sidebar instead of the triangular one, which makes it impossible for you to be able to pick the sliders, because you can't put any tension on the sidebar, and you can't, no tension, no nothing. So, you pretty much your only option there is a random attack. Just random, and you're not going to get very lucky. You might be more lucky with this, trying to do that, than a acid twin. Good luck if you want to do that with an acid twin. Good luck. It will never happen. Trying to do a random sidebar attack there. Okay. Now let me show you a little thing here. This is now going to be too loose. This core. When the core is too loose, your key isn't going to come out very easily. Oh, it's not too loose, but let me demonstrate it too loose. So, I'm going to knock this back a couple thing there. Now, this key is now too loose. It's not going to come out. So, I'm going to hold at the front, and pull it out. Then I can push the detent back down and close them back up. All set. Ready to go back in our padlock. Let's put the thing back on here. Slip them in. Take our screwdriver. Give it quite a bit of torque there, just to make sure that it stays in, because these will come loose. These screws, they come loose. Although with regular use, they come loose. So that's what I do. A lot of times when I run across ABS 83s that maybe I'm helping somebody out with, always check that screw. Make sure that it is not come loose, because they will come loose, and then your core is going to be coming halfway out of the bottom of your lock. It's not fun. The other Primus that I have, and this is the same set, same thing. This is an American lock, 3600 series. This is made for a quick set core, but I had to make my own tailpiece for this to work. So it will turn in the opposite direction. It's not going to unlock it, but and then if I turn really hard in this direction, it will open it. Let's see if I can show you the tailpiece I had to make this thing work. Okay, we got that. Oh, there goes the core. So, and I don't want to lose that screw. So this is a different, adapter piece there. And there's the tailpiece I had to make. I had to make that tailpiece, and it still works, and it'll work forever now. It's steel. It's not going to wear out. But I sometimes worry that it'll wear out. It won't. It won't wear out. But, yeah. I had to make this lock work, which is probably not the most fun thing to do, because I think I spent probably maybe an hour and a half grinding down, figuring out what was going to work. I had a prototype, actually, that was a much longer tailpiece, but I don't know where it is now, but that was a prototype, and I got it to work. I got it to actuate the mechanism, so then I knew that would work, and so then I had to cut one down and make that same exact thing over again, and that's pretty difficult to make the exact same thing, but I did. It took me a long time, but I did. All right.